So I'm tired and I was gonna talk about something else today, but I just have been listening to the Gilmore Guys podcast. So I thought I would talk about Gilmore Girls. I'm only on season 2 and it was a roller coaster. And I'm listening to the podcast as I'm trying to catch up to season 3 so I could just watch it and listen to it. So if you don't know, by the way, the Gilmore Guys is a podcast with these two guys that are reviewing the show and like their point of view, which is funny as it comes to from a guy's perspective, and then they have guests and it's hilarious. So Gilmore Girls starts with a mother and a daughter, as most people know, and in season, I'm gonna spoil the shit out of this, so if you haven't watched it, by the way, click away. Season 1 ends with both of them happy because Rory said that she loved Dean, and season 1 was all about their cutesy relationship that I was so over by the end of. And so she said she loved him after breaking it off because she couldn't say she loved him, and the whole town vilified him because she didn't say anything, so they thought that he broke it off. It was a whole fucking shit show. And then Lorelai, hot ass mess Lorelai, I despise her. I like her sometimes, but most of the time I'm just like, you're a child, and your daughter is actually the mother in this relationship. But that's where we are. She got proposed to by Max in the most lovely way, with 1,000 daisies. That was actually like 5,000 daisies because there were so many of them. It was ridiculous. But I really liked Max, and I see her chemistry with Christopher, who is Rory's dad, but I'm so invested. It was so invested in the Max storyline, and then of course season 2 starts, and like 4 episodes in, that is over because she can't take it. She's not ready to be married, and she notices that she doesn't love him as much as she thought, and like they didn't plan anything because he was like, I want to be more involved in Rory's life, and Lorelai's like, oh, Rory's done, you don't need to do anything, boy, bye. Anyways. And then the rest of the season is just like, I feel like it wasn't a very powerful season until Jess, I always call him Jesse at the beginning. Jess comes in, and he apparently has very polarizing reactions. Like the guys on the Gilmore Guys hate him, and I really liked him. I find him, I think it's because I was so bored of Dean, and am bored of Dean. He's not gone, he's still there, but I was over him, so I'm like, I needed something fun. It's a typical bad boy character that like plays pranks and is kind of hateful towards his uncle, even though he's giving him a roof over his head. So it's like, what are you doing? But he at least introduces a kind of challenging dynamic for Rory. Like, yeah, his whole shtick is that he also likes to read, but he'll like actually give like back and forth to their conversations, and is emotionally like challenging for her, and she kind of like emotionally cheats on Dean with him, which is funny as the beginning of the relationship. And then when it comes to the Richard and Emily dynamic, I feel like there's a lot of growth there because Richard like retires, and there's that whole like character arc where he doesn't know what to do with himself, and Emily's going crazy because it's always at the house. So he comes to Stars Hollow, and we have like a whole kind of episode with him trying to find himself, and that's super sad. But then we see them like kind of find their groove, and he becomes a consultant for like insurance companies, so he's back in the game kind of, which is good. And then towards the end of this crazy season, Christopher comes back, and he's no longer with Sherry, which is this girl that he was basically like very close to. Wasn't she like his fiance or something? And then they kind of took a break, so he came back to the city because what was happening that made him come back? I forget, because he came back for Rory's coronate like debutante ball and walked her down, so he was involved in that, which was cute. But then at the end, Suki's getting married, and he just kind of shows up. I forget the reason why. It's been like a week since I've watched the finale. But so like him and Lorelai have so much chemistry, and it's ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I see it, I get it. And of course, throws a wrench in the whole goddamn thing, and Sherry is pregnant because he doesn't know how to use protection for the second time in a number of years, which is ridiculous. But I just can't with that. So he breaks Lorelai's heart basically, and that's so sad. It's literally the opposite of season 1 ending because they were so happy, and now in season 2 they're both so sad because with Rory, she went to New York because Jesse gets into what is it? They crash a car. Backtrack. So she has to tutor Jesse because Luke asks her, so he's like, of course, let's, try to get him back on track because he's doing horribly in school because he never goes and he's a prankster and blah, 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 like I said before. And, so they take a break and they're like, let's go get ice cream and the car that my boyfriend gave me and made for me. But anyways, so he swerves out of the way when an animal comes in the road. We don't see this, but that's what we're told. And, Rory calls her mom and she's in the hospital. She freaks out. Her and Luke have this humongous fight because why did you bring him here? And I was so mad at Lorelai for that because he literally swerved out the road because there was an animal. It wasn't like he was like, my bad boy senses are tingling and I need to do something bad with Rory in the car right next to me, the girl I like. Like, what? Whatever. So yeah. So Rory kind of becomes more and more involved in his storyline because her arm is fractured, so she has to wear a cast. And everyone was like, oh my god, Rory, you're cast. And like, he's such a horrible boy. So she's like, it was my fault too. Like, I was there with him. It wasn't just him. And then he leaves because he'd like rather not stay and like be vilified, I guess. And I don't know if Luke is a catalyst in that. I think he just kind of goes away because he's like, no, he feels bad that he did that to her. So he leaves to New York. She calls him one day, or he calls her from a payphone in New York. And he's like, oh yeah, I, hang around the city and I read at Washington Square Park. And then on Lorelai's graduation day, because Lorelai graduated from like this community business school that she was going to, she decides to take a bus to the city. And of course he's there reading a book on a bench at Washington Square Park, because that's totally normal. He would still be in the same place he said on the phone whenever the hell y'all talked. That's how that works. What? But anyways. So yeah. So she goes and like they have a cute moment and then she comes back, misses the graduation thing, but still is there, Now fast forward to the last episode of the season, like I was saying. He comes back and is like, I'm gonna, try to be better, and like, has a little reunion moment with Luke that is cute. And then shows up at the wedding, which is at like in the, nice outside of the inn that both Sookie and Lorelai work at. And Rory kisses him and she runs away because she's a 5-year-old child. And then decides that she's going to Washington because Washington DC is where her and Paris, which is the girl from school, both became one president and vice president. So that's what a natural step is. I don't know. I guess I'll hear more about that in the next season. But yeah, that's where it ends. Just Rory running away from her problems, literally running away from her problems. And Lorelai sad as hell because the man-child that she liked and is always in her life because of her, it's Rory's dad, got someone else pregnant. Ta-da! Just like, oh, Gilmore Girls. You're such a ridiculous show, and I enjoy watching you and listening to this podcast now, which is, I think, a very fun part of it. And it's funny because in the episode I'm in, it's like 2:13 on the podcast. They're just talking about like this show would never come back because Lauren Graham would not, probably never do it. And then look, it just got released for like Thanksgiving time or whatever, the whole 4 episodes that they did. So yeah, taking my time with it, no rush. It's gonna be on Netflix, like it's not going anywhere. But yeah, these are my thoughts. Don't spoil me if you've seen it, if you've watched this far. And let me know who you like so far. Who's your favorite? Rory, Lorelai, Luke, Jess. The Townies, Miss Patty and Babette are my favorite. Kirk is on the border, but apparently he gets better as the show goes on. Who else? Sookie, of course. She's great. Melissa McCarthy. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And this is my ramble. This gave me energy because I didn't really want to talk about what I had planned, and I don't remember what that was anymore. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.